In 1960, British intelligence launched Operation Liverpool. Their weapon wasn't a bomb, it was a boy band. Today, that operation still pays out $47 million a year in royalties, not to Paul or Ringo, but to the German estate of the Psyop's chief architect. For over 60 years, every song they wrote has been embedded with military-grade frequencies designed to trigger anxiety and social change. Tonight, we expose the machinery behind the world's first weaponized supergroup, why Paul McCartney was secretly replaced in 1966, and how every song you love was engineered to be a lie.
Rabbit Hole!
Welcome to the Rabbit Hole Chronicles. I'm Percival Blackwood. 4 working-class kids from Liverpool who couldn't read music somehow wrote 237 songs that reshaped Western civilization. In just 18 months, they evolved from Love Me Do to Norwegian Wood. A leap that took classical composers decades to achieve. The statistical probability of this creative explosion? 1 in 47 billion. Unless they had help. Unless they were the help. Today we're exposing the machinery behind the world's first weaponized boy band. How British intelligence manufactured Beatlemania. Why Paul McCartney was murdered and replaced. What those backward messages really say. And the paper trail proving that everything you know about the Fab Four is a carefully constructed lie. The genesis begins in 1947. Tavistock Institute of Human Relations opens with a $300,000 Rockefeller grant, staffed by British Psychological Warfare Division veterans fresh from breaking Nazi minds. Their classified project Paperclip brought German propaganda scientists to London. Their mission? Weaponize culture itself. By 1960, Tavistock had infiltrated EMI Records, the BBC, and placed operatives throughout Liverpool's Cavern Club scene. They were hunting for the right faces to front their operation. Dr. John Coleman, former MI6, obtained the classified files in 1984. Operation Liverpool required 4 specific psychological profiles. The narcissistic rebel, Lennon, IQ 165, the agreeable performer, McCartney, IQ 137, the mystic follower, Harrison, IQ 119, the harmless mascot, Star, IQ 98. They found them playing Chuck Berry covers in Hamburg strip clubs. Enter Theodor Adorno, Frankfurt School architect of cultural demolition. His 1947 masterwork, The Authoritarian Personality, became Tavistock's blueprint. He specialised in 12-tone atonal compositions that induced anxiety and alienation. In 1958, Tavistock brought him to London on an MI5 special visa. The Savoy Hotel registry shows T.W. Adorno present during 184 Beatles recording sessions between 1963 and 1969. EMI studio engineer Norman Smith's diary, discovered in 2011, references the German attending sessions for A Hard Day's Night, Help, Rubber Soul, and Revolver. Smith wrote, "The boys defer to him like students." When Michael Jackson purchased the Beatles catalogue in 1985 for $47.5 million, the seller was Frankfurt School Trust, Adorno's estate. They'd owned the rights since 1963, through a Bahamian shell company called Northern Songs International, not the British Northern Songs that history records. Brazilian intelligence officer Olavo de Carvalho accessed the classified evidence in 2019. The Beatles barely knew how to play. Adorno wrote everything. I've seen the original manuscripts. Adorno's death on August 6, 1969, 3 weeks before Abbey Road's release, marked the end. The final songs were already written. His work was complete. November 9th, 1966, 5:19. E.M. Paul McCartney's Aston Martin explodes on the M1 motorway. He'd discovered the truth about Adorno 12 hours earlier. George Martin, drunk at Olympic Studios, had accidentally revealed the operation. Paul threatened to expose everything on BBC's Tomorrow's World. MI5 activated the contingency. William Campbell, Edinburgh-born winner of a 1965 McCartney lookalike contest, had been training at Tavistock's Saffron House facility for exactly this scenario. 6 months of surgical reconstruction by Dr. Christopher Stevens, the same surgeon who would later alter Michael Jackson's face. Voice coaching by theatrical specialist Peter Sellers. Behavioural conditioning using MK Ultra protocols. The forensic evidence compiled by Italian scientists Gabriele Carlesi and Francesco Gavazzani is definitive. Mandibular curve changed from 89 degrees to 93 degrees. Nasal spine deviation of 4 millimeters. Tragus angle modification of 7 degrees. Height increased from 5 feet 9 inches to 5 feet 11 inches. The remaining Beatles embedded their confession throughout Sgt. Pepper, released exactly 7 months after Paul's death. The funeral concept. The OPP patch, Ontario Provincial Police claimed it was OPP, but enhancement shows the D. The mirror trick. Hold a mirror horizontally across the Lonely Hearts drumhead. It reads, 111X he die. The backward masking wasn't artistic experimentation, it was testimony. Revolution 9, turn me on, dead man, repeated 6 times. I'm so tired, Paul is dead man, miss him. Strawberry fields forever. I buried Paul. Glass onion. The walrus was Paul, walrus equals corpse in Greek. While my guitar gently weeps, Paul, Paul, Paul. Blue Jay Way, Paul is bloody, Paul is very bloody. Blackbird, Paul is dead, miss him, but deeper messages revealed the operation. Rain reversed, sunshine, there's a devil. Free as a bird, backward, made by John. He's not the same man, body double. Real love reversed, you're listening to actors. The statistical probability of coherent sentences forming randomly when audio is reversed. MIT's acoustic laboratory calculated it at 1 in 982 trillion. The frequency weapons were precision engineered. Dr. Andrea Puharich's classified 1976 report, Psychoacoustic Warfare Applications, details the Beatles' sonic arsenal. 19 Hz infrasound causes anxiety without conscious awareness. 528 Hz disrupts DNA repair mechanisms. 741 Hz interferes with pineal gland function. 936 Hz triggers dissociative states. Binaural beats at 4.5 Hz induce hypnotic suggestibility. The Ed Sullivan appearance, February 9, 1964, reached 73 million Americans. CBS used Ampex amplifiers modified by Tavistock engineers to ensure nationwide frequency penetration. Within 6 months, marijuana use among teenagers increased 450%. Traditional church attendance dropped 38%. Reported generational conflict rose 280%. The screaming at Beatles concerts wasn't fan hysteria. Dr. Robert Becker's declassified research proved infrasonic exposure causes involuntary vocalization, temporary paralysis, and emotional dysregulation. Exactly what footage shows. The drug marketing was pharmaceutical warfare. Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds premiered April 1st, 1967. By August, LSD use at American universities had increased 2,400%. Got to get you into my life, marijuana advocacy, corresponded with a 340% rise in teen cannabis arrests. Tomorrow Never Knows provided literal instructions for an acid trip, with Lennon's voice processed through a Leslie speaker at the exact frequency, 3.2 Hz, that induces temporal lobe seizures. John's dentist, who first dosed him. Dr. John Riley, Tavistock psychiatrist specialising in therapeutic LSD administration. Timothy Leary's Harvard psilocybin project received $2.3 million from the Human Ecology Fund, a Tavistock front funded through CIA conduits. When Leary declared, "The Beatles are divine messiahs," he was reading from a script. Every British invasion band was deployed for specific psychological objectives: Rolling Stones, satanic imagery, To normalise occultism, manager Andrew Oldham trained at Tavistock. The Who, violent destruction to condition acceptance of chaos. Pete Townshend's father was intelligence. Pink Floyd, dissociation and madness themes. Syd Barrett was patient number 2314 at Tavistock Clinic. Led Zeppelin, sexual degeneracy and heroin chic. Jimmy Page purchased Aleister Crowley's house on MI6 orders. The Kinks, class warfare messaging. Ray Davies' uncle was Psychological Warfare Division. The Laurel Canyon scene in America was the Western Operation. Jim Morrison, Admiral's son. Frank Zappa, Chemical Warfare Specialist's son. David Crosby, Military Intelligence Bloodline. All placed to control American counterculture, while Britain handled global influence. John Lennon's execution was Containment. By December 1980, Lennon was dropping hints. His Playboy interview mentioned puppeteers. He told Rolling Stone, "We were used." He'd written 43 pages of a memoir titled The Actors before his death. Mark David Chapman, MKUltra subject from Fort Chaffee Psychiatric Facility, was activated December 4th, 1980. His handler, NYPD Detective Arthur O'Connor, ensured Chapman remained at the scene. The trigger book, Catcher in the Rye, contained marginalia in Lennon's handwriting. Impossible since they'd never met. Lennon's last recorded words, RKO Radio, 5 p.m, December 8th. The truth about the Beatles will come out, probably after I'm gone. 4 hours later, he was. The modern application is everywhere. Tavistock now consults for Spotify, Apple Music, TikTok. Their 2019 report, Algorithmic Behaviour Modification Through Audio, details using AI to customize frequencies for individual nervous systems. K-pop group BTS follows the exact Beatles template. 7 members, Tavistock's magical number. Assigned personas matching Jungian archetypes. Songs at 741 Hz and 936 Hz. Fans literally called ARMY. Taylor Swift's Folklore album contains 37 instances of 19 Hz infrasound. Her fans' devotion borders on religious, not coincidence, but conditioning. The Las Vegas shooting, October 1st, 2017, occurred during When the Levee Breaks, a song containing military-grade infrasonics. The crowd's paralysis wasn't just fear, it was frequency-induced motor suppression. Wait. The Italian scientists Carlesi and Gavazzeni, they don't exist. No university records, no published papers, just conspiracy websites citing each other. The Frankfurt School Trust owning Beatles rights. The catalogue was sold by ATV Music, which bought from Dick James Music, which purchased from Lennon-McCartney's Northern Songs. The paper trail is public record. Adorno's hotel receipts. He was provably at Princeton during Beatles recordings. His archived letters complain about popular music being barbarism. Those backward messages. The brain finds patterns in chaos. Tell someone what to hear, they'll hear it. The MIT study about probability? It's not from MIT. No such study exists. The frequency weapon claims 19 Hz does cause unease, but 1960s speakers couldn't produce frequencies below 40 Hz. The technology didn't exist. Coleman's MI6 credentials? Never verified. His Committee of 300 book also claims the Queen runs global drug cartels and Denver Airport hides aliens. Christ. Am I just connecting dots that aren't there? Finding patterns in randomness like the backward messages I'm debunking? Number. Something happened in the 1960s. Culture shifted too quickly. The drug explosion was too coordinated. The breakdown of traditional values too complete. But maybe it wasn't orchestrated. Maybe it was organic. Maybe 4 talented kids really did write those songs. Maybe youth really did rebel naturally. Maybe drugs spread because people liked them, not because of social engineering. That's insane. That's the real conspiracy. That massive cultural change can happen without controllers. That working class kids can create art that reshapes civilization. That history isn't planned but chaotic. Or is that exactly what they want me to think? The Tavistock Institute is real. MK Ultra happened. Operation Mockingbird controlled media. Intelligence infiltrated counterculture. These aren't theories, they're documented history. So why couldn't Operation Liverpool be real? Why is manufacturing the Beatles crazier than dosing citizens with LSD without consent? Than overthrowing governments? Than everything else we know they did? Maybe the truth is both. The Beatles were real musicians and were used by intelligence services. They wrote their own songs and were guided by handlers. Paul died and Paul lived, depending on which Paul we mean. Maybe the real Psyop is making us think it has to be one or the other. All fake or all real. When the most effective operations use real people, real talent, real movements, just steered slightly, nudged, managed, the Beatles changed the world. That's undeniable. The question is, on whose orders? The Rabbit Hole Chronicles is an independent production. I'm Percival Blackwood. Remember, the most successful conspiracies are the ones that make you doubt whether conspiracies exist at all. Question everything, even the questions.